Hello folks, this is me, the Trash Man here. Today we are going to be looking at arguably my favorite rocket launcher, the Beggar's Bazooka. The Beggar's Bazooka has very interesting stats. The first stat we'll be looking at is the rocket loading. This rocket launcher, instead of being loaded automatically, will be manually loaded up, and you can launch out a barrage of up to 3 rockets in a quick burst. The dopamine that fills my brain every time the rocket freaking drops the entire enemy team is unlike anything I've ever used. This weapon is the equivalent of literally lobotomizing yourself and replacing every bit of missing brain with pure joy. You'll notice that throughout these clips, I start preloading before peeking enemies, or just during rocket jumps in general. And in my opinion, this is the best way to get the best utility out of this weapon. Being able to have high concentrated burst damage is a very powerful skill, and the other rocket launchers can only dream of performing, except for the direct hit maybe. Being able to drop a medic with a small burst of rockets in half a second is the difference between your team being obliterated by an uber push and your team capping a point. The biggest issue with the Beggar's Bazooka and playing this way is their slower reload speed, which can actually be quite a hindrance. Most likely during combat, even having a quarter second faster reloading speed will either can win you a battle, and if you don't have that, it might just kill you. But keeping your cool and retreating when needed is an important way to keep yourself alive, like most classes and weapons. Even without loading, this weapon is extremely powerful. Usually with a rocket launcher, you will have only a 4 clip size, and it might actually take you a bit longer to reload than the Beggars because you have about half a second-ish delay before you can start reloading after firing. But with the Beggars, you were able to just basically M1 spam and keep up a firefight with an effectively bottomless magazine size, which is pretty crazy. You may be wondering, how this weapon affects rocket jumping if you've never seen it, and I'm happy to say that for normal rocket jumping, it's still quite good, and has a set of benefits to help this weapon get you farther into a rollout than regular stock. If you have 2 rockets loaded in after the initial rocket jump, then you're able to do many things, like fast acted pogo jumps, or just able to get mobility boost off of little rising slopes. That one I actually kind of use a bit, sometimes, I don't know if in this video, but really, that's just the baby stuff. The real benefit to this weapon is overloading your rockets. On the stats page for this weapon, it lists it as a downside, and I don't know why. It couldn't be further from the truth. It may be a downside for, like, I don't know, little Timmy who just started the game 20 minutes ago, but it won't be for fanatics of the rocket jumping style. When you overload your rockets, they explode on you, and it really allows you to get insane air without needing to shoot the ground. And you will have 3 of these at your disposal, so you will be able to get across the map in less than half the time it would take for the regular rocket launchers. This weapon is the king of mobility, but it is locked behind an insane skill gap. Even after 600 hours in Team Fortress 2, I feel I've only grasped the surface of the Beggar's Bazooka. It's a weird case of a weapon having a relatively small skill floor that, newer players can perform pretty well at, to some of the most innovative and creative skill ceilings I've ever seen a weapon to allow you to. It's crazy. It allows you to express your playstyle so well, and I just don't feel like I've ever been bored using this weapon. But I do have to talk about certain downsides that may throw some players off. I talked already about the reloading being a thing, but there's also a pretty decently sized damage penalty that makes it to where you can't really insta-kill bigger classes like heavies. While I think that this isn't a big issue, it can still hurt sometimes, and you may just feel like you could have gotten a kill if you just used stock. Another big issue that some people have, not for me, but it's just random bullet spread with this weapon. It kind of makes you have to guess where your rockets will go, and this could be a hindrance to people who really just have a slightest just hatred towards inconsistencies with the weapon. Sadly, another issue I have is that I really think that you're basically glued to the gunboats. I know you can, I guess you could argue the shotguns and the banners, especially the battalion's backup, but the fact you lose so much mobility potential really just hurts to play, in my opinion. But I would say a good alternative, like I said, is the battalion's backup. I mean, the 20 extra health and getting crit and damage resistance is really good. It could really help out your team and just you in general, honestly. But that is where my issues end, so let's get back to it. The Beggar's Bazooka has been a weapon for a long time that I've used whenever they're just kind of medics or power classes stacked on the control point, especially like whenever they have like a heavy who's like, I don't know, critst or is getting like vaccinated. It's definitely a very great weapon for surprising them. And usually when they're stacked on control points is usually when I use like that, especially in King of the Hill. But I usually find it is best used, in my opinion, as a surprise tool, because normally whenever you see a soldier, you're usually expecting, like, whenever he pops out of like a little corner, that he'll just, shoot one rocket and then kind of back up. But imagine shooting 3 rockets. Anyway, yeah, no, any unsuspecting, enemy team is probably gonna get bum rushed by it. But even if an enemy suspects it, to be honest, good communication from your team could be like a really great way to cause either distraction or just become a roamer. Now, a roamer is a playstyle where using a fast class, you can get behind enemy lines with, high mobility, and you could basically just communicate enemy positions. Although, I will say that I'm not a Sixes player, so I don't really know this, so please correct me if I got any of this wrong in the comments. Now, with fast mobility and big brain energy, you can actually cause quite a bit of sense of paranoia with this weapon that I really think contribute to this weapon's upsides. Now, what I mean by paranoia is that if you have, you'll have enemies on the lookout for you if you've just been kind of terrorizing them. So it'll kind of take their focus away from the enemy, your team. So it really can just be a great way to defeat like defensive operatives who have been kind of your team bum rushing through, trying to run straight through, getting the head slammed. I feel like it just does help in general, just because I don't know. I feel like having an enemy team that has to focus on not getting 3 rocket bursted and dying actually is a very good help to your team. So yeah. But anyway, tell me, what's your least favorite thing about casual? Is it random bullet spread? Is it bots? What about random critting? And let me tell you, random critting I have a love-hate relationship with. It always fuels my ego whenever I get a little cheeky kill with a goofy crit rocket, or crockets like they call it nowadays. But yeah, getting hit by it is a different story. It's what we call unfun. Anyway, crappy game mechanics aside, a lot goes into this weapon that I'd say a lot I'd say that goes into this weapon I'd say is mentality. I say this because usually you are going to be pretty low to mid health half the time, considering you're going to be rocket jumping everywhere. Unless you got a medic shoved down your bum, you're going to die a lot. If you don't got map knowledge or medkit locations, this weapon takes time and commitment to get efficient at. It takes a lot of pain and dedication to get good with this weapon. So keep it up and keep yourself focused. What goes with regular rocket launchers, I'd say goes for the most part with this rocket launcher. What I like a lot about the regular rocket launchers and just every rocket launcher in general is just that they all are just, good. Even the Liberty launcher, which is probably the worst rocket launcher in my opinion. But, they're all really fun and they have very good utility. They allow soldier to get in and out greatly. But there's a big issue that I think a lot of these rocket launchers have that I don't think gets brought up much, which is the fact that I think a lot of them lack an identity. And I'd say the biggest excuses of this are the Cow Mangler, the Liberty launcher, and the original. Even the black box, I'd say, but I consider that on both parts. But yeah, they're all just similar style launchers that basically run the same. And this can cause a sense of familiarity for these rockets. And it really is just a big reason why I'm so glad that weapons like the Beggars exist. It disrupts the natural order of just kind of samey rocket launchers. And it just goes out with it's a well-balanced weapon, a unique weapon. It isn't a direct upgrade to stock, nor is it a downgrade. This weapon is a great side grade that allows Soldier to play a more extreme version of existing playstyles, while slightly hurting the basic run and gun style as well with Soldier, while alongside adding its own twists. Sadly, the only other Soldier weapons that I'd say slightly disrupts it is the Airstrike, Rocket Jumper, slightly Black Box, and the Direct Hit. The reason I say the Black Box is that it's a fun weapon, but it is very familiar with the regular stock, except for you slightly get heals and you have one less clip. But I do think the self-heals do kind of make up for it, in my opinion. The Airstrike's very fun. I like it, but it's just too clunky, in my opinion. I don't know. It feels like it could really benefit off of a faster reloading speed, which I hope Valve goes back and does, because that'd be super fun. And in general, I think it really only has one optimal build, really, with the base jumper or the gunboats, but especially the base jumper. The rocket jumpers, honestly, let's be honest, it's only useless for Trojers, or medium scout as I like them. I like medium scout. But Trollger is a very fun playstyle in my opinion. I'd say it allows it to be unique. Uh, while we're reaching the midpoint here, I do just want to thank all my audience for voting on these video topics and supporting me throughout this year. This has been an amazing year for me, and I've really been enjoying making these videos for y'all. The reason I'm starting these types of videos is because I believe you guys deserve a lot more effort out of me, and I want to put more work in to give to you. The content I make is for y'all. Anyway, back to the video. I think I've said what I needed for this video, but I just want to recap my thoughts on this weapon, then leave y'all to your day. The Beggar's Bazooka, as we discussed, has amazing mobility. It could be offensive. It could be an offensive nightmare for the enemy team. This weapon requires great skill and use effectively, and provides a soldier a new way of playing the class that I think not many characters get a chance of. This weapon's it's very great on open maps like the payload game modes and control point payloads. Control point maps, and it really pairs great with the gunboats and the escape plan. This weapon has a slower reload speed to most rocket launchers and deals slightly less damage whilst also having bullet spread. In my opinion, this weapon contends for one of Soldier's best primary weapons, and if you've never tried it, then please do. This weapon has been so much fun for me in my time with TF2. I'm so glad that a weapon like this exists in TF2 to begin with. Please don't let the downsides keep you from just hesitating to use it. It's a refreshing take on the soldier class that I really think shouldn't be ignored just because, just because it has a kind of mixed history. But yeah, to end this video off, I do just want to thank you all for watching all these videos, and I do just want to say I want to put in all this work in my channel, and I'm very excited for just in the future of this channel. If you like this video, then please subscribe and like for more videos. We are on our road to reach 1,000 subs this year, and I would love to be able to hit that. But other than that, this is it. Thank you, and I'll see you later. Goodbye. Trashman out.